Good afternoon. We begin this hour with breaking news, though, in Western Sydney, where an inferno has just wiped out 2 large factories and is still burning. It started just under an hour ago and spread from a furniture business to several adjoining buildings. People in the area have been evacuated and a large exclusion zone has been established. Traffic is also being directed away from the scene. 48 firefighters have just managed to get it under control and so far no one has been injured. The Australian Federal Police now believe the alleged Bondi shooters acted alone and did not receive military-style training during a trip to the Philippines a month before the terrorist attack. Let's go live to Josh Martin in Canberra. Josh, what more can you tell us about the investigation?
Afternoon, Chris. Well, AFP Commissioner Chrissy Barrett gave an update today, stressing that it was an initial assessment. Travel records show Sajid Akram, 50, and his son Naveed Akram, 24, flew from Sydney to Manila on November 1 and on the same day travelled to Davao City, staying at the GV Hotel for 4 weeks. They returned from the Philippines to Sydney on November 29. Of course, on December 14, the pair carried out that deadly attack at Bondi Beach, killing 15 people. Naveed has been charged with multiple murders. Sajid was shot dead by police. While they were inspired by Islamic State, the AFP has no evidence the father and son were working in a broader terror network or that they received any training. Philippines police have handed over CCTV footage and other evidence which AFP officers are now trawling through. And despite the update today, there remain many unanswered questions.
What this points to, and I will again advise this is a point-in-time assessment, is that these individuals are alleged to have acted alone. There is no evidence to suggest these alleged offenders were part of a broader terrorist cell or were directed by others to carry out an attack. However, I want to be clear, I am not suggesting that they were there for tourism.
Still so many questions there, Josh. Where'd they get the training from? How'd they make the bombs? But meanwhile, a peak national Muslim group has reported a 200% spike in reported attacks on Muslims since the Bondi attacks.
That's right, Chris. The National Imams Council says it's deeply concerned by hostility that's been shown to its community. Pigs' heads were thrown at a Muslim cemetery in Narellan, New South Wales. Muslim women have reported being spat on in Perth, and graffiti was sprayed on the Islamic College of Melbourne. Behaviour condemned by leaders today.
Police will throw the book at any examples of Islamophobia in our community. I just want to make it clear that racism will not be tolerated.
When people enter into Australia and go through the customs hall, they leave any prejudices and any hatreds in that hall, and they celebrate Australia, who we are, modern Australia, and respect each other and respect our common humanity.
Chris, in that press conference, the PM was again peppered with questions about a Commonwealth Royal Commission, but again defended his decision not to hold one.
All right, Josh Martin live for us at Parliament House. Thank you this afternoon. Torrential rain in North Queensland has left dozens of workers stuck in an underground mine. Drivers have also been left stranded as a slow-moving monsoon impacts more areas of the state. Connor Alfork reports from just north of Ingham.
Freight trucks, caravans and hundreds of cars risk being left stranded near Ingham. At any moment, flooding threatens to close the Bruce Highway again. The Hinchinbrook Mayor says people were forced to spend the night in their cars as they waited more than 12 hours for Queensland's busiest road to reopen. In Mission Beach, residents swapped cars for kayaks and paddleboards.
That's it. Good turn.
South Mission Beach has been hammered by almost 800 millimetres of rain over 72 hours. In the outback town of Normandin, Troy Gallagher saved a school teacher and his dogs from rising floodwaters more than a metre deep.
Yeah, he was very relieved because he's sort of been there for a day and a half, not being able to get into town.
There was also a delicate mission to lift out almost 70 miners stranded underground for up to 8 hours. Heavy rain eroded vehicle access routes at the Ernest Henry mine in Cloncurry, a town drenched by 113 millimetres of rain overnight. The state and federal governments have activated disaster assistance funding for the Carpentaria, Cloncurry, Flinders, McKinley and Richmond Shire councils.
We have two main concerns, and that is roads and the impact on agriculture. At the moment, there are 37 roads across the state that are out of action in different sections, and that shows you the impact across a large area of North and Northwest Queensland.
The Premier has warned livestock losses will be significant, but it's unlikely to be as devastating as 2019, when 500,000 animals perished. The monsoonal system could impact just about the entire state, with tropical moisture potentially bringing showers and thunderstorms to the southeast later in the week.
More than 2 weeks after the Bondi massacre, police are set to launch the biggest New Year's Eve security operation Sydney has ever seen. A record number of officers will smother the city, some armed with long-arm weapons, as the Premier concedes safety fears could see some people stay away. Chris Maher has more.
Well, a huge security operation unveiled for New Year's Eve with a massive number of police deployed across Sydney. 2,500 police will be assigned to New Year's Eve on duty across the Sydney metropolitan area, covering various community gatherings. The main focus, of course, will be on the city with the fireworks on the harbour. Police say officers will be very visible, and riot and public order police will be carrying long arms.
That does not represent any specific threat. It is to provide reassurance to the community. We want the community to see police and feel safe when they're in there.
The Premier and police making no apologies for this tough stance, saying bad behaviour will not be tolerated.
This is a massive logistical exercise and a gigantic security investment from New South Wales Police to protect the people of this state. This will be, alongside Operation Shelter, the largest deployment of police for a New Year's Eve celebration ever.
Already the city is covered in crowd management barriers. Also unveiled today a transport plan with 4,000 staff on duty to help getting crowds there and back.
We'll have more than 1,000 additional services in place, and that's roughly 40% more than the busiest weekday that you would normally experience.
While he is urging people to still turn out, the Premier says he is concerned there will be a drop in New Year's Eve numbers.
US President Donald Trump says steps are being made towards the next phase of the Middle East ceasefire plan, despite slow progress. He met with the Israeli Prime Minister in Florida today, saving his biggest warnings for Iran.
Good afternoon. President Donald Trump has just wrapped up his second round of peace talks in 2 days, sitting down with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as the president pushes for phase 2 of his Gaza peace plan to begin. It's the 5th time the Israeli Prime Minister has met with Donald Trump this year, and comes 2 months after a fragile ceasefire agreement was secured in the Middle East. But progress on the next phase has slowed, including the withdrawal of Israeli forces and the establishment of an international stabilisation security force in Gaza. But President Trump says Hamas must disarm first.
If they don't disarm, as they agreed to do, they agreed to it, and then they'll be held to pay.
But the biggest threat was saved for Iran, warning a rebuild of their nuclear capability would be wiped out again.
I hope they're not trying to build up again, because if they are, we're going to have no choice but very quickly to eradicate that build-up.
The strength of the United States and Israel's friendship taking a new step forward as Prime Minister Netanyahu awarded Trump his country's highest honour, the Israel Prize.
It's going to be awarded to President Donald J. Trump for his tremendous contributions to Israel and the Jewish people.
For President Trump, who campaigned on being a peacetime president, all eyes are now on whether he can secure peace in the Middle East as promised.
The search for Malaysian Airlines flight MH370 resumes today, more than a decade after its disappearance. American robotics company Ocean Infinity will lead the hunt off the West Australian coast. Lucy Murray reports.
Good afternoon. The Ocean Infinity vessel restocked with supplies here at Kwinana, south of Perth, before heading out on a 55-day mission. The ship is heading southwest into the Indian Ocean search zone. The Malaysian Airlines flight vanished from the radar in March 2014. There were 239 people on board, including 6 Australians. 10 years on, their families are desperate for answers. Jeanette Maguire's sister and brother-in-law, Kathy and Bob Lawson, were on the Boeing 777.
So I do think gut feeling is they're in the right area, but it's a big ocean and a long way down. So hopefully this time round, we've got better technology. We've had more time.
This is American company Ocean Infinity's third attempt. It couldn't find the craft in 2018 and a search earlier this year was called off due to poor weather. But there's reasons to be hopeful. The robotic specialists have the latest technology, autonomous underwater vehicles that create 3D maps of the seabed up to 6 kilometres below the surface. It signed a deal with the Malaysian government worth more than $100 million. It only gets paid if it finds the jet. Aviation experts say the black box could survive underwater for a decade, but it's never been tested.
They withstand that 20,000 feet of water or 6,000 metres, so essentially there's no reason why they shouldn't work.
Tonight, hundreds of families across the world are waiting, hoping finally for answers.
Paul Caddick joins us with a look at the national weather now. Paul, you've got more on those dangerous downpours in Queensland.
Chris, some places could end up seeing a metre of rain from this continuing monsoon event, with warnings of more heavy rainfall for Queensland's northwest and the coast between Cairns and Townsville, where more than 300 millimetres fell in the 24 hours to this morning at Bingle Bay. And so far, just today, Sweeney's Creek near Innisfail has seen more than 170 mils. While off WA's Cyclone Hayley is now Category 3, Derby and communities north of Broome warned of damaging winds as it closes in on the coast tonight. While for much of the nation's south, a front is bringing cooler conditions. Brisbane today getting to 29 degrees, a sunny 26 in Sydney. Melbourne hit 33 before temps plunged this afternoon. Hobart reaching 22, as did Adelaide. Perth again into the 30s and 33 in Darwin. Chris, the national New Year's Eve forecast is coming up.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Paul. Talk then.